Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another beautiful episode of the Living in Fullness podcast. Today, I am seated with the gorgeous YouTuber, award-winning YouTuber, digital marketing specialist. She is a billboard honey. She is a commercial model. She is none other than the founder of Yolz Beauty, Mrs. Yolenda Jawe, popularly known as Yolz.
Hey.
Hey, gorgeous.
How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited as well.
I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Guys, before we even start, today if I'm out of character, please understand. I'm a fan. I love her. So if I'm out of character, please do understand. So before we start, we've got to get to know you game.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
So you're going to pick any random 10 numbers between 1 and 15.
Okay.
Okay. What's your first pick?
11.
Okay. A narrative people might have of you that you would like to change.
Ooh, that I'd like to change. That I haven't already. Gee whiz. I really don't. Like at the moment, yesterday I mentioned that someone actually said, I don't have friends. And I was with my friends and they laughed so hard.
How? I would have never made that assumption.
I don't know. Yeah, I suppose
Okay.
that's probably the only. Yeah, I suppose people assume the friendships that they've seen on social media are my actual friendships, but it's actually crazy because when I opened my wedding book, 5 of like my bridesmaids, I'm still very good friends with 4 of them. The other girl, we're not friends. We just talk like maybe once a year.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that like my friends who were with me since varsity are still my closest friends. And then second to that, the first year of working, those are the friends I was with yesterday actually. Since 2014, we've been friends. I mean, like uncles to my son. He actually thinks they are like family.
Oh, that's so
and
beautiful.
aunts as well. So I was with his auntie and his uncle yesterday, and those are like my real closest friends. So I have at least close friends 7 or 8, which sounds crazy, but it's because I'm sort of like, I wouldn't say dual city living, but because I grew up in Cape Town, 5 of my closest friends are there, and then the other 4 are here. But my best friend is based in Cape Town, and I have really great friends. And I think the narrative of like she doesn't have friends just took me aback, and they actually laughed so hard because we've been friends for like well over 10 years now.
Yeah, I'd have laughed too. I mean, don't box her to social media. Because I think sometimes it's because you're on social media, right? So people naturally assume that whoever you call your friend on social media is all you've got. And if that's not there to them, then
then they don't exist. And funny thing is, all my friends are not social media people. But they're very much like me. So we're all talkative. We could spend the whole day talking.
She was saying, I'm not here for an hour.
No, we're all very talkative. We're all very much the same, but they're not social media people. So it's and I don't put up the camera all the time when we hang out. Especially with my like I really appreciate friendships off camera because they also ground me. And
I think they're like realistic, authentic. They are also like, you know, you don't have to put so much effort. It's natural. It's organic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your next pick. We're getting into the conversation,
okay.
and this is just question. 2. Okay, let's go. What lesson you'd like Faiz, your son, to learn?
Ooh, it's okay to be whatever.
I love that.
I think we're living in a world where we grew up being asked the question, what do you want to be? And how many times has things changed and sprung up in terms of career? Imagine 15 years ago, there was no such thing as a social media manager in corporate. And now every big business needs a social media manager. That's now in the formal sector. And us, even as influencers, 20 years ago, we did not really exist in terms of this career. So who are we to box our children? Instead, I think we should be putting them in a space where we're encouraging problem solving in every single thing, because they are the future, and we are going to face so many more challenges, intensified. So the problem will always be there, but it might be even more. COVID is here now. They need to figure out how we're going to solve them, but it doesn't mean that they should be scientists. You know, so that's I really hope he becomes whatever.
whatever he wants to be. And I love that. And the fact that he's got your support makes it even easier.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me, what's your next pick?
Oh, we're going on.
We're going for 5.
I did not know this. 4 then. He's 4.
Okay. Yeah. Your biggest strength.
Ooh, my sense of self. I lean on knowing who I am, and I think there's just such a strength in that. Even in my weakness, I know in that moment that is me now, and I can understand and diagnose what the cause could be and what the treatment can be for that. And I think that's one of the things that I have now stood on, because there's strength in understanding that you are weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. There's strength in understanding that right now I'm vulnerable. I'm tender. I need love right now.
Yeah.
Or I'm on top of the world. I need to celebrate right now. There's just so much strength, and nothing can break you when you know that you are broken right now. Nothing can break you further than that.
It's true.
And there's only one way up. When you're on the ground, you can only get up and get stronger. So yeah, that's my current strength, and that's what's gotten me through the hardest times. Yeah.
That's good. Self-awareness is a skill, hey?
It is.
It is
and
a skill.
A strong sense of self, because otherwise you go where the wind blows, and that's probably the most dangerous thing. And I learned very early on in high school that I don't want to be that girl.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's go for your 4th one.
7. I like the number 7.
Yeah? Oh, who is your greatest inspiration and why?
Oh, wow. That's difficult, because I usually say my mom, but I think if I can put her in one, my mom and my grandma, and two different people, but I think their prayers, without their prayers, I don't know where I would be. And also their strength, oh my goodness, the ability to see things when they aren't there. Both of them have that, and I don't know if they know that they have that in common. Both of them have been through really hard times, but they've been able to press on so much that I think they've imparted inside of me something that allows me to see beyond my current circumstance, and to always break free of the mindset of the seeing what is in front of me now. It's always about seeing what's ahead and what could be. And maybe that's why I encourage first to be whatever, because imagination is what's going to keep us moving. It's what gets us out. Yeah. And it's also a strong sense of hope. You know, even in hopelessness, when there's that glimmer of, well, what possibilities could surround a question? Even if there's a no, what if it's a yes? Just that hope. So I think both of them have got that, and what they've been through. Even in the midst of nothing, they could make something out of it, and that's incredible.
I love it. Let's go for your last one.
10.
Okay. Wow, 10. What's the most expensive item you own?
I was going to say the bag I carried now, but...
that's a pretty bag.
Thank you. But I think there's a smaller one that's actually more expensive.
Really?
I'm a Gucci girl. I love Gucci. And it's like a secret little... it's a secret little... I don't know whether it's a hobby. I'm not a luxury girl.
Really?
But I melt at some Gucci bags. And that's like why I'm like a...
For Billboard honeys, of course.
And that's the thing. It's not even... That's why I'm saying it's not even like me.
It's just
like,
what
it's not yours. It's like... It's something that's not part of my brand. That's why I'm like, I never really like flash my bag closet, but it's something that I do indulge in a little bit when I love a bag, and I have to lose sleep on it to know.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's just like, I hope I find it tomorrow.
Yeah, sometimes 2 weeks. This one took me 2 weeks. I slept on it, and I was like, okay, we're doing it because we've got outfits for her already. Actually, the minute she came, the day she arrived, I was going to an event. I unboxed her, and I went to the event with her. And my husband was like, wow. You knew you were. I was like, I knew the outfits. I was ready for her.
I just needed the bag.
You know? Yeah, but outside of that, I'd say my property as well. Is that an item?
It is.
My first property, she's doubled in value.
Ooh.
So she's now in the 7 figures, like a while into the 7 figures.
I mean...
So maybe that is my most expensive item.
Listen, yours is for keeps, okay? You're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into it now.
Okay.
So before we actually get into much of what I really want to discuss with you, just in case, you know, for my Nigerian, my Zambian peoples that probably don't know you yet, who is Yolz?
Ooh, okay. Yolz is a daughter and a granddaughter, particularly because I started with one of the questions.
Yeah.
I am a child. I'm a child of God, a very proud child of the Most High God. And I say that in a humble way. I am a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a wife first and then became a mom. And I think my greatest gift is prayer and encouragement, as in my godly gift. And I think that's when I feel the strongest. I actually liken praying with speaking on camera. The way I feel when I'm in my element, in my prayer closet, I feel so strong. Even if I'm crying, I'm like, oh Lord, I feel good because I know what comes out of this is so much greater. And yeah, that is me outside of the social media. Most people know me as Yolz. I started my career here on YouTube while I was in corporate. I have a finance and investment degree. I don't know how deep I should go, but I came from the commercial property space. And the last day of me being in corporate, I was a senior investment analyst, and I just decided, let me follow my dreams. And I've never looked back since. So since then, I've just been doing YouTube, started in the hair space, and now I've just been sharing my passion for content creation and adding to the body of work on what content creators do in this space, because we're about to make our mark.
Yes, we are taking over.
Yes.
But one thing I love about you, Yolz, is you are so versatile. You're not limited. Like you, 1 minute when I just think, okay, now I know Yolz, she's all about skin. Okay, now I know Yolz, she's all about hair. Now you're into property as well. And I loved your property video. I was watching it the whole
Thank you
night
so
yesterday.
much.
I loved it, how you answered the questions like a professional. I've worked in a bank as a credit analyst, and I was like, damn, she actually has a lot of knowledge.
Thank you. I don't use my school knowledge quite a lot, but I use it with my husband, I suppose, because he's still in property. And the property thing has always been part of me. It's like my hair. Yeah. So for me, it's like Yolz can speak on skin because she has skin. I can speak on hair because I have hair. And I think the hair thing is the basis of my channel, because I was sharing a journey and it really required research. So many videos. I took hours to prepare for them. I'd read and read and read before explaining something. So in the same breath with property, I always feel like I can never just show up in a video without research-backed information. It's very dangerous. We're in a dangerous space because everyone is consuming and very fast, instant gratification. And you do put out the wrong information out there sometimes, which I've made that mistake too. And people take it as it is. They don't even fact check most of the time.
Yeah.
So for me, the multifacetedness is like I always see myself as a big sister. There's nothing you can't not ask your big sister.
True.
And you expect her to have an answer, right?
And if Big Sis doesn't know, she researches.
It's like, if I want to give you advice, I don't want you to stumble and fall.
Exactly.
But I'm still going to tell you to also do your research. I always feel like a big sister is multifaceted. You're going to ask her about her hair, her makeup. You're going to ask her about her career. You're going to ask her about every single thing that you want to know. Boys, relationships. So why not have an all-encompassing lifestyle channel? Because that's what lifestyle is. We're more than just one thing.
So how do you decide when to move to what? Because it seems like you're always serving us when we actually need what you're serving us. It's like it comes right in time, So is it that you also don't know, maybe God just throws it in, it's like it's time? How do you choose when to say, okay, Yolz, I think we've heard a lot about the hair, continue with it, but now get into skin, now get into this. How do you decide?
That is such a deep question. I would have answered this question a lot differently last year before ending the channel, because I was moving with the wind. I think I was just listening to whatever people want and also watching channels, whatever I was consuming. I was like, let me just churn this out. I'm consuming this, let me produce this. But I got to a point where I ended my channel in August last year, and at my grand's house, actually, it felt so safe. Safest place I've ever been on earth. And, excuse me, I looked back and I was like, Lord, what do you want from me? And I really wanted to go back to the source. I said, this is not my doing, but yours. The first time I picked up the camera, I was in the bank and I felt as though I was boxed. I actually saw a cage in my head. I was like, I feel like a bird that's supposed to be flying and spreading her wings, and she's in a cage.
And you're limiting yourself.
Yeah, and I said, Yolz, get into the front seat of your life and drive it to where you desire. But when I got into that front seat, I wasn't driving. was.
God was driving.
So who am I to now remove his hands and then drive this car myself?
True.
He's the author of, my future, my destiny, my story. So I really gave it to him. And 2 months after I quit, I was like, oh God. He's like, yeah, you're coming back now. So I think it's a fine line between being able to say you can hear God, because I'm always like wary of that. We don't want to be so heavenly minded that we are of no earthly good.
True.
And I do second guess myself sometimes. Am I hearing you? But then when there's confirmation, and I do pray for confirmation all the time. Sometimes I don't need to. I can be awake at night and I just know, okay,
I hear
Saturday
you.
morning, you got to film. And I close the door. I say, Auntie, please sit with Fez. Please lower the volume. I'm going to film. And I know exactly what I'm filming. And then sometimes when I put Q&As out there, it's because I'm feeling it coming in my spirit. Like, I don't even spiritualize it, but I do feel sometimes like the property thing. I did a Q&A and it was a month ago, the 8th of May, and something in me was just like, oh, okay, this is coming. It's coming somewhere. I don't know when, Lord. But on Sunday, I knew that's Wednesday's video. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to over spiritualize things, and I want to be very careful in saying this because we will be judged on that.
Yeah, true.
Speaking truthfully as teachers of the word, we have to tread very careful with what comes out of our mouths, because there are people learning from us. And even if we didn't sign up for this to be role models, the reality is now we speaking.
That's where you found yourself,
And when we're speaking of the word, we have to be very careful, because I don't want to be a false prophet. I don't want God to be like, you misled my people.
True.
So it's a fine line between knowing my purpose and understanding why God has brought me here, knowing my why, and then always praying to be in alignment with when God wants this to take place. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. And sometimes we miss it. Sometimes I might do a video on armpit health, hygiene, and God was just like, I didn't
that wasn't you, babe.
Yeah, I don't know about that video, yo. But sometimes also there might not be a reason for me posting a specific video. And I post it, it touches one life, it doesn't touch any life, and that's okay.
And I think it's okay. I think sometimes we think just because we're Christians, we always hear right. Sometimes you do hear God wrongly. You think, or maybe he's telling you, you will get there, just not now. And you're like, okay, God, I heard you. I'm starting. You know what I'm saying? And I think also we shouldn't underestimate the importance of learning. Because sometimes it's in those mistakes that you make, those things you start too early, that you actually say, now I know myself better, right? So what are some of the things with your content creation and who you are and where you're at now that you feel, if I knew this, then I'd have done things differently? Or what growth have you seen in yourself? Not just even followers, subscribers, but even in yourself. What growth have you seen over the years?
Ooh, that's a difficult one, because we're definitely not perfect. I've made mistakes. There is one little thing which is more personal than anything. It's just like a little, I wish I was single for longer, a little bit. But I mean, it's
my
just
husband would be like, you always saying this. I think, sometimes you're like, if I was maybe, I would have chased a lot of other things goals, rested more as well.
For me, it's not even, I think my husband and we've had this conversation as well. He had a good 5 years of living alone, so outside of home, outside of Res. He also lived at Res. I literally moved from home to here. Spent a year while we were living. He was living in the Val. I was living here in Rosebank, and that was it. And I didn't even live alone. I was living in like a commune in a sense. So I felt like I didn't really live alone.
Yeah, you didn't get to know who Yolz is outside being a wife, a mother, and and everything else. I think it does make sense what you're saying, because it was the same for me as well. Because I finished school, I went back, I stayed with mom and dad, I got married out of their house into the marriage. So sometimes you feel it's not even about the dating side of life. No. It's about knowing me. I would have probably had enough time to know me.
Yeah, and there's no rush. I always feel like, because we look on the second and the third lane, if you are in the middle lane, you're not competing. The person on the slow lane is also at the right pace. They are following the rules of the road. The same with the person on the fast lane. Hopefully, they're still within the speed limit. You need to stay on yours. And I don't fully regret it. I just wish I gave myself the option.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I actually sat down and I was like, Yolz, if this man proposes in a year's
What are you
time,
going to say?
Yeah, and even if you do, is the first thing you're going to do is look at the calendar, because that's exactly what I did. Looked at the calendar and we sat down and we looked at when to get married.
To get married, yeah.
And I think we just don't take that step back in the excitement. We make certain decisions, which are not always bad because it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, but I see it in him now. It pays off to know yourself, and the way he takes care of our household. There are lessons he learned in his singleness and having his own home.
Exactly.
Even boundaries with people, with hosting.
Sure.
Those are things you learn when you have your own place. Like, guys, it's time to go home, and it's okay to say that. You know? Because he knows that, and there's an inner.
He had to learn from those experiences as well.
Yeah, it comes with confidence, and there's certain things I'm not confident in my home that I feel like I would be more confident if I had my time.
Yeah.
Like he really had such a, and I'm glad I have him because he's teaching me a lot of the things. Even as a homemaker, there are things I'm just like, man, this comes easier for him, and he's a man. Like, so we're not perfect, but I do wish I had gave myself a little bit of time in terms of content creation. Not getting too excited too soon, just over everything and anything. But also, I also regret, which hit me last week or the week before, when I went to celebrate the whole billboard thing. I realized my first campaign just went by past me.
Why was that?
Unilever. So I collaborated with Unilever on all things hair. That was the full circle moment. And the first video I did was Bantu Knots. And we were flown to Cape Town almost every month from when we started. And we shot videos. These images and videos were in store. So they were in or over Clicks and Pick and Pay. Well, some selected Clicks and selected Pick and Pays across the country. Not once did I go to any Pick and Pay and actually take a photo.
Really?
And it broke me a little bit because I was like, oh man, I didn't live that moment.
That's actually true what you're saying, because I think I've learned to be present in every season, because there's so many times that you look back at a season, you thought, okay, it's just this, or sometimes you were too busy to notice that, girl, you're doing so well, clap for yourself, pat yourself on the back. You're too busy to notice, and then in hindsight you're like, wait, where are those pictures for that commercial?
That's the thing.
I don't have them.
I don't have them. And the thing is, sometimes it's not even about the hype around it. Because my little sister, eventually they actually used the images outside of contract, and thankfully they eventually paid me for that. But it went up to 2019, 2020 when this was this started in 2017. So you can imagine for almost 3 years, it could be or 2.5. My pictures were everywhere. My videos, there were tutorials. I never took that moment in, and I never celebrated that win, because that was huge. That was POS is huge. POS is when you're in store and there's a product aisle with a stand with your picture there first, and most of them had like videos of my actual tutorials. And even when I was now discussing this with Unilever, I was using videos that my fans, I don't want to call them fans, my supporters, my honeys, had actually taken. So that was the proof that I had to supply to client and say, well, this store and this store and this mall and this mall. Why didn't I go to any of these malls?
But you know what? I think now we are becoming more aware as well.
Yes, thank goodness for growth.
You become more aware, because when you look back, there's certain things, and I think it's also because the digital space itself is growing. I think back then we never used to really capture moments as much as we do now. So I think now it's a thing of, that I need to capture this moment, not even for people, but for yourself, for you to keep it for yourself, to get back to it in seasons where things seem dry and be like, actually, you've been here, And
also the presence, what you were saying on presence. Even if you don't capture it, take the moment. Because now, my prayer is different now. It's not thank you for this opportunity to be on a billboard. It's Lord, I've seen your hand move. In the beginning of the year, we prayed, God, show me how good it can get. Lord, how is it going to get any better than this? Lord, it's really good. You're showing me how good it is. And it just changes you inside. And my friend actually captured the shot where I said, that's me. And I just remember this vein here. that moment was for
You were
me.
so excited.
It was real.
I was jumping with you.
It wasn't about the camera. It was
about you.
Yeah, that's what I regret. I did not take that moment to be present. It's like when you're with your child and they want your attention and you're on your phone. It's when you miss that moment.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
The moment is gone. And you can't take it back.
And you're not, and in parenting, that's the biggest lesson for me. It's like, it's either you're there or you're absent. It's either you are here on your phone or you put the phone down and you give this little person the attention because you are their world.
Yeah, that's true. But now I want to dig into a different topic. Okay. I heard you talk a lot about forgiveness, about healing, about just finding yourself as well and just being able to let go of situations. Tell me a little bit about that. Is it something you struggle with to forgive, or is it something that you're realizing is probably not, the definition is now different for you?
Both. I think the reason I'm vocal about it is because my channel is about getting into the front seat and actually moving. So at any point in my journey, I share.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are like, sometimes you overshare, and that's also okay. For me, the approval is on God. So when I'm editing, there are things I know this should go. This should go. If there's something in me that feels off, that should go. That's oversharing. And now more than ever, we're in an age where I ask myself more than anything, is this oversharing? Which at times it's overthinking. It's not oversharing. It's me overthinking because somebody on the other side of that might need that. So I'm in a space where that's been the biggest lesson right now. Last year we were in a very somber moment. I think I was in my in the fire.
Yeah.
But even when things burn, there are ashes. So there are remains of things that are still there, and sometimes those remains are the people you're still holding on to. And that was very much revealed to me right now, that was the space that I entered getting into this year, and understanding that hurt people, and shamed people shame people. And
That's
I did that. I did that, and I think that's where I needed to take a step back. Thankfully, I think God had already taught me the lesson, but it wasn't clear. Sometimes it's to be like, okay, where's the whale?
Yeah.
Jonah's going the wrong way. Now I need to show him. I need to show him. Let them throw him off the boat. So this year was more explicit, I think, in God just saying, hey, hold up. There's still a lot of things you need to go back and fix. With my dad, I had stopped talking to him in 2019. But God's grace. I realized then, I think it was 2019 or 2020 when my little sister learned how we moved to Cape Town. She was much older, and I feel sorry that she only found out much later that, my mom was in an abusive relationship and she had to move to Cape Town with us for that reason. So my little sister basically grew up in Cape Town thinking they just split, and that wasn't the case. There was so much more she learned. And one of the questions she asked me was, would you sit down with your perpetrator? Or Lord forbid, you're a rapist. Because every day you're talking to dad, you're laughing with him, you having such a good time. He was at your wedding, lobola negotiations, he was there. It's always good with you and him. But like, now that I've learned this about him, I need to go back and recoup. And that hit me because I never actually took again that moment to just analyze, and I had to understand one part. So I understood one part, the fact that I needed to heal and deal with what has happened, and deal with him never apologizing for that. My son was born, he never got to meet my boy. And in 2021, I decided, 2020, near the end of 2020, when we could travel, to go and see him, and he was ill. And I took my son with me. My mom-in-law said, let's go. We made it a family trip. It was amazing. He met my little boy, and I forgave him, but I gave myself now the chance to actually let go and forgive. And then few days before his last, I had a feeling, that thing again. I don't want to say, God, tell me at that time. I packed my bags and I left. My husband was away for work, and I literally was like, there's nobody at home. I just feel that I need to drive to Mpumalanga and go see my dad. And thankfully, I got to spend a week plus with him and my little boy, and saw him until his last, And I got to say goodbye, but I also reminded him that I forgive him, and I prayed and I sang with him the last night where he was like fully conscious. And then came the trauma of actually realizing I saw life leave somebody. And then came the chaos of everything else that rippled after that. After that, just my life was just, I don't want to say in shambles, but my decision making was really, really bad. It was skewed. It wasn't rational. And in that, I lost friends. I didn't see anything past my mourning. I didn't care for other people as much as I probably should have, because I was hurt. I was going through this, and it was a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
To be fair. So now, fast forward 2021, 2022, hey, good rough. 2023, I learn about sin and shame, and how I actually took on my dad's sin. Not necessarily sinning with him, but allowing the sin to lead my life and my decisions, compensating for his sin to make sure that my brother and my sister and my mom are fine. You know, things like buying the house and, you know, being the deputy parent, overcompensating and
just
labeling
so that you can
it and
fill that gap and make it feel like, you know, everything is still fine.
without seeing it for what it actually is. And that too is trauma inflicting in itself. So I see this trend. Now God is revealing so much more.
Yeah.
And then the shame that comes with those things, and the parts of my life I don't like, the parts of my story I don't like. Oh, because I'm really good at speaking. We know this.
We know that.
I can package things. We can make this a product. We can sell this product. People are going to buy this because, you know, your stamp of approval is on it.
Yeah.
And I did a good job at convincing myself that I was fine. And then I realized that I'd covered myself with all these things that mean absolutely nothing to God, because he wants what's underneath. Why am I hiding behind all of this? And it took me back to friendships that I just left, you know, unattended, sloppishly, and in confrontational spaces, I completely ignored people. I can be a blank wall. I don't have to see you. I didn't even confront that part of me. I was proud. Ignore therapy.
But you know, that's the one thing about unforgiveness, I think.
Yeah.
I think when God wants us to forgive, it's not for the other person.
It's for you.
It's for you.
Absolutely.
You know? And I always say that I don't really know the definition of forgiveness, but I always try to describe what it's not. You know, the fact that I forgive you doesn't mean I'm condoning your wrong. It doesn't mean I have to reconcile with you sometimes. Some things, it's just hard to fix them, you know, after they've been broken, right? But I think it's more about me saying, I release you.
Yes.
I want to see you thrive. I want to see you do well. It doesn't have to be with me, you know? And I think it's just harder when you don't forgive people. You find yourself in a place where you're always upset.
Yes.
And everything is a trigger.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly it. So I thought I had forgiven. I was like, I forgave my dad.
Yeah.
Why am I dealing with? I mean, I've had that lesson,
I've moved
Lord.
on.
We've been in that class. I've passed.
Yeah.
And I'm good. You know. And then God just started revealing to me that these are things that need you to literally physically take off. You actually have the key to this handcuff. It's holding you back.
It's bondage.
It's bondage, unnecessary bondage, because you are triggered by someone's presence. What?
Sure.
And the idea of being
sometimes even the name.
Hurts. And here and there, but also the fact that it triggers so many other bad things, because it gives birth to negativity. It gives birth to gossip. It gives birth to so many ugly things. Even in your mind, you tell yourself lies as if they are truths about this person or about these people. And
That's
the thing is, there was just this narrative I held in my mind about what these people thought of me.
That happens a lot. Like sometimes
Exactly.
you even start having self-rejection.
Yes.
You know, like where it's just like, I'm not worthy to be around these people. Yeah. Or sometimes you even feel they're the ones that think I'm not worthy to be here.
Yes.
You know?
And that may not ever be the case. And I just sat and I asked myself, do I hate this and this and this and that and that and that and that, and that person? No. Why are they holding up so much space in my heart? And it's not the best seat. It's not front row. It's not even the back. They're standing there somewhere in the cold, and I'm letting the rain on them without really caring. Why? So I confronted certain rooms in my heart that were not occupied by God. And
Sure, I love that.
It helped me
So
a
he
lot.
filled up the gaps.
Yeah, by sending me there. Oh,
Did
and one
you
thing
go
about
and
God,
actually apologize?
oh yeah, and it's multiple people, and that's the thing about God. I'll start with the easy. First 5 minutes, I said to my husband, "Okay, I know now. It needs to happen now. I said I think I had this chat with you the other day. I think it's gonna happen now." So
Did you manage to fix some of the relationships?
No, I wouldn't use the word fix.
I
was not there to fix nothing. I was there to follow the instruction. Go to Nineveh. Go to Nineveh. I went to Nineveh. Yeah.
And you're back.
I'm back. So I literally just sent messages because I realized I blocked some of them on my phone. So that was not a good idea because the first place you go is WhatsApp. You're like, I know I WhatsApped them. The last message, I was blue ticked, so I was upset. And because I was blue ticked, now I'm looking for the number.
But do they not block you as well?
Well, if you block a number, the thing about blocking a number is that you won't know.
They can't block you.
I don't know.
They wouldn't. Okay, it makes sense.
I don't even know if they would know, but I don't know how it works. What you can't find is
only
their number
once
on your
they
phone.
write you a message.
Yeah, and I switched phones.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have what was saved to be able to unblock. So I went to Instagram. That's the best place to start, right? And I asked for forgiveness to one particular person that I treated her badly in a specific event. I felt like I just gave her the cold shoulder. I just felt like you were being too nice. There's a whole elephant in the room. We cannot pretend. To me, I was just like, it's just either too pretentious.
Okay,
it's either we're real or we're not. That's me. It's either we confront what's happening because we're not friends. Why are we acting like we're friends? Because there's other people. So let's act like we're not friends, but we're cordial. Because there's a way of hey, sharp. How are you? How are your friends?
But I think women, we're good at that though.
I'm not.
That's good. I love that.
The thing is, in my friend circle, there are a lot of guys. So maybe that's why some part of me, which a lot of people don't know, I'll just keep it real. Bro, we either good or we're not.
I think when I think of what you're saying now, there is a great advantage of having a lot of guys as friends as well.
Yes.
It sort of neutralizes that side of you as a woman, because I think that's why I can easily sometimes just be real and be like, listen, I'm not going to see you. I was talking about Yolz yesterday. I see him oh, Yolz. No, I'm just going to treat you how I was talking about you yesterday,
Clearly I still need to deal with that because it just evokes an emotion, because if we were guys, it would be, yo, bro, that's it.
And we move.
We literally won't sit together because we know what's really going on and we're not going to pretend.
I think that's good.
I don't know. It wasn't obviously, I don't know how she took it, but I was very cold. And I knew because at some point throughout the day, I also felt like, oh, now you're comfortable because your buddy is around. And now it's like I need to find my place. We were cool earlier. Or maybe it was me that was cold and she could feel that I was cold because I know I was cold from the get. Right? So anyway, I reached out and I said, I'm so sorry. I know I treated you with I was holding the grudge, blah, blah, blah. Admitted my wrongs. And I wasn't asking for a friendship. I was just letting her know. No, we don't need to be friends.
I think it's okay, to be honest. That's what I was saying, that there is a time I did this whole forgiveness with someone. And the thing about me is I feel like I really have a childlike forgiveness. If I forgive you,
it's done. It's over.
It's done.
Yeah.
Right? So the problem is I thought it's done for real. But you see that when you meet, it's still
painful.
It's not the same. No, for me it's fine, but you can tell that the energy is not the same. The way they speak to you is not how it used to be. It's like they're still holding something, So you just get to a point where you're like, okay, you know what? I think I am the one who's moved on and you're still not okay, And that's when I learned that maybe it's not a matter of the fact that they haven't even moved on. Maybe it's just that whole thing of forgiveness is not necessarily reconciliation.
It's not. And also we all forgive at different points in time and we all deal with pain very differently. True. So it's only when I look back when I'm like, I was really hurt. Oh my goodness, I was really hurt, but I failed to also see my wrong in that. Even as a victim, you can easily quickly turn into a villain.
True.
Because they've wronged me, they've done this to me, and there's nothing I can do that's more wronger than what they've done. And that's the issue that I was confronted with beginning of the year. I did find a new church, and I think that was a big part of confronting. I found home where it's just there's no beating around the bush. The pastor's just straightforward, and at some point I was like, Lord, every sermon is just touching me in my studio.
He's talking about me.
I'm hurt, So I started there, and then from there it just became easier for the next person, for me to approach the next person and the next person, and somebody I had to see face to face who had already actually forgiven me. I reached out to her at an event and we could talk. It felt natural. It felt real. And I think the most powerful thing she said was, I asked myself why I didn't like you. Or why she said, I asked myself why I unfollowed you. And there was no reason. There was no good reason for me to do that. And I think that's the thing about the age that we're living in. I don't have a lot of close friends, and ate a lot. The friends I do have hold such a huge space. Those are people like I can say I can invite to my home. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. Some of the things that I think were triggering during the time of this whole like friendship drama stuff that was happening is people have their own opinions. And a lot of people were like, oh yeah, she gets so attached. And for a moment I was like, Then I was like, yeah.
Maybe I do.
I am a lover.
Yeah.
I am a natural lover.
And I think that's fine. You know,
I'm okay with that.
It should be fine, because I think I always say to my husband that, listen, I feel I'm too nice, not even just trying to compliment myself, but that's something I hear a lot as well, right? So I'm like, I think sometimes I'm too nice. I'm a carer. I give so much. You know, when I get into a friendship or any sort of relationship, I'll give in everything. And I think when I'm hurt or when it's not given back, because I think friendships as well should be reciprocal, right? We don't have to give each other the same quantity, but it has to be reciprocal in whatever manner. So it's that whole thing of you get back and you're like, no, I think I need to stop being nice to people.
And you can't.
You know? And you can't, because it's not your personality.
Yeah.
You just get to a point where you're like, okay, God, this is how you created me. There's probably a reason you created me like that. And you have to embrace it, because I think being nice in a difficult, wicked world is very difficult sometimes, but you have to embrace it because it's a gift.
It is, yeah. And I really took that upon my stride, and I was like, that's why my oldest relationship, my oldest friendship is north of 10 years. I mean, first year of varsity, and that's crazy. 2023, it is our 10th year of friendship, and
that's beautiful.
That is someone who can go into my mom's house without me being there.
And she will have a good time.
Oh, she will have. My little sister stayed with my best friend, you know, during her internship, because she literally worked next door. And my friend was like, what? Michelle's, she can come here.
Yeah.
What do you mean? There's a room for her.
Yeah.
And that's how deep I love. It's a kind of love you understand, especially when you're both Christian. It's the kind of love you understand that you did not give birth to this. It's selfless. Yeah, and you did not make this, so you can't break this.
True.
If the season is over, Lord forbid, because that's my sister, that's my bosom. That's like, the one time she was upset with me was because she felt I wasn't being open. And I was planning her baby shower. She came back and asked for forgiveness. She's like, I can feel it. I even confronted you. My husband said, don't bother Yolz. And she's like, no, she's not giving me attention and I'm pregnant. And that was literally the week leading up to her baby shower, and she came back. She was like, I'm so sorry, but we know each other that well. You know, when there is distance, I can't keep anything from her.
I love that. And those are the kind of friendships you want, you know?
Absolutely. So I'm surrounded by love. Why can't I give that space that's occupied by hate and dislike to more love? That's true. Yeah. So that's been my journey so far on forgiveness and healing. And I just found myself in a season where there is really no reason I can give rationally to hold people on
That's
their
true.
wrongs. There's no good reason.
There isn't, and it's always important to extend grace. I always say that.
Absolutely.
But now, do you, just to close on this forgiveness thing, right? How do you feel at any point it impacted you as a wife? You know, because I think generally as women, I think we're good at expressing how we feel, right? But I found that with women that probably struggle a bit with forgiveness or hurt or trauma, it becomes a bit difficult to let go of things simply because you don't confront situations, or you just say, okay, I'm good, and let things go. But then deep inside, you don't really, face your situations head on, and you probably expect the other person to second guess and just say, okay, yours is not okay. Let me ask her. You know, you don't really say when you're not fine.
You know, last year, I'd say yes, easily, because it affected a lot of what we were going through last year affected our relationship in a way where my mom-in-law, when she was wishing us our anniversary last month, you know, she said to my husband, man, you guys have been through a rough year. Happy 6th year. You almost lost your wife last year. It was bad. It was bad. I mean, I don't even consider divorce, but the fact that we were even slightly even almost pronouncing the D, like the
about
D
to say,
you know, like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
it means it got really crazy. Yeah.
When we got married, we divorced the word divorce. That was
Yeah.
that was part of our like
Covenant.
vows and our covenant. We divorced the word divorce. So how is this even springing up in our 5th year of marriage, and then this year getting into the 6th year? We had learned so much. Looking back, all the lessons were ticked, all those boxes. It was so much. I think also having the father forgiveness thing the year before, and then the husband issues, husband-wife marriage issues, and healing from that. Maybe that's why it was easier this year for forgiveness to come from a place of like healing from within, because the things that were deeper have already been unlocked and open and healing, and now these are like these are the small things. These are the leaves on a branch, but the tree is strong now. The roots are standing and they've grown so much deeper. So I suppose this year, no, it didn't actually affect my marriage at all, and in my relationship, it made things easier because my husband forgives just like that.
He moves on.
We talk about this like a guy, you know, like literally, and his mom too. I think I love the fact that she's a boy mom, so she's got 2 boys, and she moves on very quickly. I think I'm in a family that does that. So it's not very difficult to do the same after a while. You know, and kids do the same. They teach you. That, and you know, my little son says, "It's okay, mom," and it's really okay. It's over.
They've moved on.
It's over. Yeah, but what I've learned, the most important thing is to ask for forgiveness, to apologize, acknowledging and recognizing your wrongs to somebody, articulating it, just like when we pray, when we say it, we confess our sin. So is it important in relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's you and your mom, whether it's you and your husband, to articulate that, because it's a verbal agreement, or a verbal covenant again that you're making, a promise to say, I acknowledge your feelings, but also I do hope I don't do this again. But also I see you, because sometimes we just don't acknowledge it. It's like, sorry for how you felt. No,
it's
I
how you
recognize
felt.
what I did.
What I did. And these are the steps I'm going to put in place to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
You know?
Even speaking about it is a step of putting things in place to make sure this doesn't happen again. You know, I forgot to say I arrived safely. Now, what I'll do is the minute I take the key out of the car, when I park, I look at my phone and I text you. That is me saying, this is now the step that I'm taking, so that doesn't happen again.
That's true.
You know, so it's really important, and that's been the lesson so far. And then overall, I feel lighter.
I love it for you.
I feel so much lighter, and I'm glad
I
I'm
love
not
it for you.
like carrying burdens that don't even belong to me.
I love it for you. But you know what? I feel like we've got a lot to say about this forgiveness thing. I'm tempted to say, Yolz, come back. But, but you know, it's not a Living in Fullness episode with Yolz if we don't talk about Yolz Beauty, skincare, cosmetics, and all that. Tell me, with Yolz Beauty, because you're also a digital marketing specialist, right? How have you incorporated your digital marketing specialist? Maybe you can just start by telling us what Yolz Beauty is about, and then tell us how you've incorporated digital marketing in your Yolz Beauty.
So Yolz Beauty started in 2020 when technically 2019, I was already feeling like, you know, I want to get into skincare because I've used a lot of skincare. I found a little book that I had created back in varsity with all these little like facial recipes. Like masks, oatmeal masks, this type of mask, hydration and the benefits and ingredients. Because of the hair thing, it just made so much sense to understand what an avocado does to both your hair as well as your skin. So going into 2020, I did a lot of self-care because we were stuck at home. And I realized very quickly that we don't have Black-owned sheet mask companies in South Africa, and this is a Korean-dominated industry. And if I want to be the change, let me be the change. So I started the company right then and there.
I love it. And how have you incorporated your digital marketing as well?
So I needed to tease the market. One of the key things was strategy. If you are in this digital space, you understand how to speak to people and what best way, at least you try to understand what best way to speak to your community. So I knew already majority of my followers are women, Black women in particular. And before actually launching the product, I teased the market. We had 8,500 new followers without people knowing what the product was. So to me, that's brilliant marketing.
I was one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just went and said, "Oh, Yolz Beauty page." I was like, "Girl, I'm there."
I was teasing the market like crazy, hinting. But I got a really good manufacturer who helped me create the narrative, and a chemist who understood our story and our African skin, and that was so important. When you understand a story, it's easy to tell it. You understand the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you also understand that we all as human beings love and remember stories. So I just packaged that really, and I put it out there, and people believed it. We broke even within the first 10 days, and it was just absolutely amazing. And I love the current team that we have, and honestly, it's been a blessing. It's been such a blessing and a testament of your hands work. They can produce gold if you actually just bring it before God, commit those plans, and allow Him to bless.
I love it. And on that note, I hope you have loved this story. It's been beautiful to have you, Yolz. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm also going to put Yolz's handle and Yolz Beauty's website link into the description. So please don't forget to go treat yourself with Yolz Beauty products. See you next time.
Thank you so much.